Okay, so what are we most excited for regarding Vanderpump Rules coming back for another season? Lots of talk about Tom and Tom. Basically, a little bit of an oversaturation in terms of the whole story arc to begin with. Now, on one hand, Vanderpump Rules definitely had its biggest season. Lots of momentum going into the new season. Even Ariana being on Dancing with the Stars, there's just definitely so much going on. Tom versus Tom, but probably one of the bigger stories throughout this whole thing was where and how Raquel's involvement would be in the next season, or if she would even be involved in the next season. Looking at the whole thing, obviously Tom Sandoval is the root of the issue, and that doesn't give Raquel, an easy pass as to what she did in her involvement. But the reality is Tom was the one in the relationship, and Tom was probably the one who sort of schmoozed and allured, Raquel to even, be involved in Scandival, which was a huge ratings thing for Bravo and Watch What Happens Live, et cetera, et cetera. So the whole thing is kind of a bit of a whirlwind. And going into the next season, obviously Tom is filming. You're seeing some tension between Tom and Tom. That's like one of the words that's kind of floating around the internet. We're seeing quite a bit of that. And I don't think it's going to ultimately be that way. I think obviously when you're friends and something bad happens, you can necessarily have, some disdain, but it doesn't mean like you're not going to be friends. In my mind, in my opinion, I think Schwartz will ultimately still be very, very close with Sandoval. But things do have to go through, just a bit of a grace period in order for them to kind of rebond and reconnect and become a little closer and, continue business if that's what they're going to do. Who knows if that's what they're going to do. Now, regarding Raquel, because that's really what we're here to talk about. Raquel, on some level, is kind of, there's a big need for her on the show. Some will say that she's not necessary to come back because it's like, she's done what she's done. She was on the reunion and it is what it is. But at the same time, I really feel if you go, for her sake, if you go in this, well, first of all, she has to be apologetic. She has to overwhelmingly be apologetic for her actions. And that may take some time. And Ariana, as she's having this glow up and she's on Dancing with the Stars and all these endorsements and brand deals, there's something in me that says Ariana, this is just my prediction, Ariana could be so amazingly mad at Tom for some time. But I think down the road, even though it was despicable what Raquel did, I see Ariana having a moment of grace. And here's why. I will say why. And then I'm going to tell you what I think about her coming back. And is this a good move for her? Mental health, et cetera, et cetera. I just think Ariana knows the boyfriend that she was with at that time. That's number one. And I also think that, in some ways, nature ran its course with the relationship. And even though this is the worst way for it to go in terms of the way, they ended up breaking up through the Scandival, I still think Ariana knew the relationship was dissolving anyways. And while you could have emotions and pain and sadness, there's a part of her, in my mind, this is just my opinion, where Ariana, as much as she could hate Tom, there will at some point be an opening for Raquel. I mean, obviously on the reunion, she said never, ever, ever. But, as time goes by, as your life changes, as she re-falls in love, it looks like Ariana seems to be re-falling in love and newness to your life. And you move out of the house, all these things that are going to happen or are happening, it changes how you feel. And when you think about it, I think there's two kinds of people that you could get mad at. Now, if it was Tom and some girl, in the place of Raquel, and this girl had no remorse and no care and almost did it maliciously, then it's different. Then you're going to stay mad for a long time. But generally speaking, even though Raquel sometimes doesn't come with the greatest set of words and expressing herself, she's very much seeming to be still like how do you say it? This is not taking up for Raquel or taking her side, but there's a part of it where it's like Raquel only did what she could do. She didn't know better. There you go. She didn't know better. So anyways, with the not knowing better mentality, she low-key might be the star of the show next season. Now, that's not taken away from Sheena. That's not taken away from Ariana. But Raquel, in some ways, she made an error. But I gotta tell you, these are the errors that so many of these Bravo viewers also make, in normal day-to-day life. Other housewives on the franchise, on the program, they've made these sorts of errors. Everyone's done stuff. And, on the, like I was saying, on the side of Tom, it is really bad. On the side of Raquel, it's bad, but it was I know, it was a error that she is going to have to be remorseful for. But to be in a situation where, she pretty much had to take quite a bit. She had to take quite a beating, Raquel did, and still show up gracefully in the reunion, and she looked beautiful. I think there are some people who are going to give her grace. I might be one of them. I might be one of the people who is like, I'm kind of interested to see Raquel's story, specifically if you break it down like this. And this is what's exciting me upon her coming back. So we're hearing that she is coming back. I don't know if this was a money grab, hopefully not, maybe, or mental health, taking some time away. Either way, I really don't care. Where I'm excited to see, and where, if I was in her corner, the way that I would say is the best potential to kind of win over the audience yet again would be to simply say where you were and what, I mean, she said it before, but to really reiterate where you were and what your direction was. You were in an engagement. It didn't work out. Maybe your contribution to that is an issue, but the engagement didn't work out. You see your ex, he's with somebody. That's no excuse. But from all of a sudden they're with somebody else, you're feeling how you're supposed to be feeling, on top of, and she says this all the time, the fact that she didn't know her identity at that time. You're getting older, you're trying to get married, have kids, and then all that happens simultaneously with the pageantry not really being anything you could do past a certain age. Your whole thing is like, ooh, I'm gonna have a fun summer. I'm going to kiss a lot of frogs, so to speak, is kind of the concept. And, that's where somebody like Tom stepping in, Sandoval, who could be a little manipulative to the situation. That's why he's really the problem in this. Now, I don't got no issue with Tom per se. Like, it is what it is. All of this has been done now, and this is tough for the people's lives. But, again, the hardest thing about this is everyone got a huge raise, so to speak, in terms of the opportunity, and this show even, continuing on. It looked like it was on its last leg. So it's like, on one hand, shame on all the people who created this terrible thing, the cheating, the Tom, the Raquel. But on the other end, everyone is running their way to the bank and like acting like they're, on their high horses, when everybody on this show has done some similar things. I'm just saying this, and I don't know if it's like not the thing that people are really getting behind, but I'm saying I am generally interested to hear Raquel's side of the story a little bit more. I'm generally happy that she, appearingly at this moment, things change by on a drop of a dime, but I'm very interested to see if she is going to stay on the show, for how long, or what, where, and why. Hopefully, if she does do it, this would be me. If I was in her corner and I was saying if I was going to do it or not do it, I would have to think of it like this. If I'm going to do it, I don't want to just do like the one measly season, give you all of the ugly stuff and nothing more. So hopefully, if it was her, and her team was fighting for a good contract, it would be something along the lines of making sure that she gets further seasons. That's what I would think. But anyways, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with everyone on this cast, but definitely, Lala has never been compelling on the show, and she still manages to be on the show. She's beautiful, so that's good. But it'll be interesting to see. And I guess the bigger thing is, are you happy that Raquel's coming back? I personally am. Happy might not be the word. I think it's going to be good for her to be on the show. And where do you see involvement with her and Tom Sandoval? And then also, there's the question. Who's sort of like abusing the situation? Who's taking it a little too far in terms of like always mad at Tom Sandoval? It's like, there are a lot of crimes out there you could do, and what he did was disgusting, but it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot worse things that you could be doing regarding Tom Sandoval. So yeah, what do you want to see? Tom and Tom in the next season? You want to see them go at it? Sheena crying again? I mean, I love Sheena, but I don't know if I love Sheena crying. And I think it is about time for Sheena to say, you know what, you embarrassed me, Raquel. Let's hash it out and let's kind of move forward together. On one end, I'm actually hearing myself talk, and I'm like, maybe I am kind of siding with Raquel in a lot of ways. And I think that you could do that. I don't know because what had happened was so big and so monumental, it almost is like, you almost think of it as like, oh, you only have to be on Ariana's side, but you could still look and see where that relationship was, and the fault, not the fault, but what role she played into the situation as well. Not that it's her fault to have got what she got, but are you going to be excited for her on Dancing with the Stars? Is this too much Ariana? Think about the society, the way things go, I guess, especially in Bravo land. It's, you get prodded up sometimes to be brought back down. So right now, Ariana's on an up, which is great, but I don't know, where do you go from there? Sheena, is she going to cry, like I said, again and again and again? I don't know. But I think I'm asking the question is, do we finally have a little bit of mercy or grace for Raquel? Because again, that must be a big deal. You lose your engagement, even by the vein of herself, but then who you were formerly engaged to, they're like quickly getting over you, and you gotta like run in the same circle, which of course is her choice. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, let me just have a hot girl summer. And then there's always that one person, in this case Tom Sandoval, to kind of mess things up. So it is her fault, but I definitely feel like it's got to be more on the Sandoval side. We got to really like look at him. And also, I don't know that I want to see the exact same thing on the next season. I don't know if I want to see just Tom Sandoval being looked at as this, this sludge of the earth. There are a lot worse things people have done besides what he had done. As despicable as it was, there are a lot worse. So I'm just trying to see what can be done for the next season as a fan, as a viewer. Like, I'm really excited about the next season, but I hope they don't mess it up. They have all this momentum, don't mess it up. And who knows, can I say some crazy things? Well, I won't say the real crazy things. I'll wait to put that on the Patreon, patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. Oh, by the way, here's a quick word and then we'll come back. Here, should I snap? Oh, it didn't go.
Well, hello there. Thank you for watching and supporting the show with my good friend, RandomlyRJ Jr. Who the hell am I? Great question. My name is Mark Rodriguez with Mastermind Media, and I wanted to take just a moment of your time to let you know about all the other incredible things this guy, RandomlyRJ Jr. has going on. But first, before we get into that, please comment, like, and subscribe. That is how he grows here on these channels. But one channel you probably don't know about is patreon.com/RandomlyRJ Jr., where he's got a bunch more exclusive content. So please check that out. But speaking of YouTube, let's go back to YouTube for a second. He's got this hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. and it shows all of his stuff in his days in radio from back in the day, all the way up to present day, and his new interviews, podcasts, just videos across the board. So please check that out, because when you think about content creators, there's millions of content creators, but there's only one, Randomly Ronnie Jr. Let's get back into the show.
There you go, on the Patreon, as I was saying. What I should say on the Patreon is even more, and I probably will. So go on the Patreon, support, and do all the things that Mark said. Thank you, Mark. But what I was going to say about Raquel is, could it be one of those situations, and it's going to be so hard to say this because we only know Raquel as like this meek, quiet individual, lovable, kind of, not flighty, but just kind of really, hey, kind of person. Could it be everything that she went through by her own accord, of course, she comes out on the other side and she becomes like, does all the, books all these modeling gigs or whatever, joins an OnlyFans and just becomes this different LA girl. Like, we have seen stuff never like this, but similar, like actresses that were on one track and then all of a sudden something happens and then they go the other track. So I'm not saying that's going to happen to Raquel, but could you imagine? Could you imagine if Raquel down the road just like completely grows up before our very eyes? It would be very interesting. Anyways, I don't know what's going to happen with Raquel. Hopefully I'm not one of the few. Hopefully there's other people who do want to see her back. And the word is that she is coming back. So that's exciting. Raquel back on Vanderpump Rules for another season. I am very excited about just the show coming back. I'm a little like too much oversaturation with all of the leaks and the footage and the this and the this. I'd rather wait for them to film it. I'd rather wait to see what goes on, and let's get a trailer and let's see what it's going to look like. Oh, and I'm still going to always tell you this. I've said this on many other episodes. As I always tell you, Lala is less interesting than a lot of the cast members. I don't know why people assume she is more interesting. I mean, she's beautiful, so I'll always say that. But my other thing is, I'm going to say this every time. More Charlie. We need more Charlie on this show. I'm trying to tell you, she's one of the more interesting people. And what do you think about the rumored spin-off with, like, you know, some of the older Vanderpump cast members going off, and I think there was like Vanderpump is going to try to cash in on all of this stuff. So we'll see what it's going to look like in the future. But I'll just tell you, I'm excited Raquel is back. It's going to be great television, even if she has to be held to the to her word, and people are going to have to really question her. I think it's going to be good television, great reality TV. So just wanted to check in and say that. All right, I'm out of here till the next one.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.